Look out, half-ton owners. Brinkley just came out with their newest, smallest, lightest series yet. And it doesn't offend anybody that it also happens to be the easiest on the wallet. Welcome, everybody. Josh the RV Nerd back down here at Brinkley again with a familiar-looking floor plan, but technically an all-new series from Brinkley. This is the new Model I X. And essentially what they're doing is they are establishing a new baseline for where their entire, thing begins, their entire adventure begins. Now, the first thing I think some people are going to look at this is say, oh, they just went cheap. They didn't do that at all. It's the exact same construction that you find on all the other Brinkley stuff. Like you've got on the Model I series that maintains here in the Model I X, where you have that painted aluminum automotive finished skin laminated to an Asdel substrate on their aluminum framed walls. Like the floor is even still composite. They're still running hand-cooked tires. They're still running the nicer Furrion air conditioner. They're still dishwasher prepped. A one-piece fiberglass molded shower that I don't know that I've ever seen ever in this price point. All those high-class features are still here, like the better Victron MPPT charge controller prepped for a 3,000 watt inverter, not a 2,000. They did not go cheap. What they did is they created a new trim package. They have opened up the door for more people to potentially access a Brinkley, whether that is access a Brinkley from a tow vehicle standpoint or potentially a budget standpoint or a combination thereof. There are so many people since the first Brinkley video that I put out have been saying, are they gonna make something smaller? Are they gonna make something half-ton towable? They've been kind of scratching at that, but this thing, 27 foot basically tip to tail, 7,500 pound GVWR, very manageable hitch weight. I think legitimately we can call half-ton towable on this thing. There are a lot of really cool features on this. It's not replacing the Model I 235. This is a sister. They're not deleting, they're not getting rid of, they're just expanding their floor plans. And if you appreciate how we get down there, down here, get you that information, hit that subscribe button. And as we go through this, let me know what you like and what you dislike. We are looking at a prototype today. There will be a couple changes before it goes into production. I'm going to try to clue you in a little bit, but please keep in mind the footage you're seeing may not perfectly represent the camper that dealers are going to have in stock. And again, I want to start first and foremost by reiterating that this is not replacing the Model I 235, if you're familiar with that one. That is not going away. It's a trim package. There were a lot of people that looked at the Model I series and went, man, we just want a Brinkley. We like how you build your campers, but we just don't need necessarily all of that overtop flashy razzmatazz. That's the birth of the Model I X series. They are just creating another way to provide you the thing that you want. Now, we are looking at the optional hide-a-bed today, and you might notice how it's a lighter colored cloth touch. If you watch my Model I 235 video, you'll see like a buckskin colored theater seat. That would be the standard sofa here, but you can option the hide-a-bed into this one. One of the best way I can describe this is think of it like trim packages in automobiles. They didn't go cheap. They created a new trim package. Like, I don't care what vehicle you have. Like, if you have a Ford, a Chevy, a Dodge, or whatever, they have upscale, downscale trim packages depending on what you're looking for. This is the new baseline Brinkley, and then everything else moves a step up from here. That's what's happening. Like, this has a 6.5 foot ceiling. It's not a super duper extra tall kind of ceiling. I appreciate, though, again, the things that matter. The construction, the privacy curtain for the bedroom. This is still a 60 by 80 true queen bed. There were a lot of people that just didn't care for the bigger Olympic queen in the Model I, the full Model I series. So they went to that. There were a lot of people who didn't care for the projector system. So Brinkley created an option for you that does not have a projector system, just has a more traditional direct viewing entertainment. Now you're noticing the camera color shift right here. That's just the way that my camera interacts with the lighting in this thing. So it does not have this, it doesn't look like a warmy cream color like this right here. But it is still, by the way, a smart TV. I think that's an Insignia Fire TV, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of people looked at the Model I 235 and said, you can't watch TV from the bed. Well, that's a pivoting TV, so you can. enough anyway. But there were the things that Brinkley is doing. Their signature calling cards are still right here. Like the kind of hideaway, slide open, retractable dining table, the fold away chairs that you can stow under the bed. Those are kind of just really becoming, especially Model I, like signature features. And those are not going away just because we've moved over into the Model iX series. And I actually kind of like how they went about the entertainment in this one. For instance, instead of a built-in audio system that I'm not always a big fan of, they opted for this portable Soundcore Bluetooth speaker. I looked this thing up. It looks like it's waterproof. I think it floats. It actually provides some pretty thumping good sound. And another really cool thing, if you don't want to listen to your TV exclusively through the TV speakers, you can even Bluetooth link it to the television and use it that way. So you could potentially like lay in bed and have a speaker right next to you instead of blaring it loud or something. You know, I don't know. There's just some interesting different ways you can go about this here. It mounts and can travel and stow down here. Now you might go, yeah, but where's my fireplace? That is in the Model I 235, not in the 23X that we're in today. Those upgrade features you'll find up there. I do still appreciate that little desk drawer, though. It makes a perfect spot, as you can kind of see here, for like all your remote controls and whatnot. Now, again, up front here, they do have a different bedroom arrangement in this one. It's a little more traditional, I think, in a lot of ways. But I think a lot of people may actually like what they're doing here. And I like that they give us two different choices now. This is one of the areas that will change a little bit when this RV goes into production. When they laid this out on paper, it made sense. When they saw it in person and they noticed that just even a conventional t-shirt didn't quite clear, they said, okay, we're going to make some changes. So what you should expect when this goes into production is you'll still maintain a single like dresser drawer on the other side. By the way, if you look way at the back of that, you can see how they still maintain this same dovetail drawer construction here. This is the least expensive RV I think I've ever seen with that kind of drawer construction, by the way. Holds together better, longer, stronger. This top drawer is going to go away and extend the height of the closet, but also this little pocket up top, that will also go away to extend the closet. So you should be able to hang Uncle Gary's sundress in there. All pocket screwed lumber core cabinetry, hidden hinges, magnet holdbacks. I'm being nitpicky about this. It's a little thing, but I try to be fair. This is just my opinion, man. I personally don't like the flat dead pockets in the overhead storage right there, just because it makes some things potentially hard to reach, but that's me looking for trouble with a map and glasses. I have very few notes on this camper. Overall, it is darn swanky. Now, over here around the corner, you might notice the backlighting. You do have what I like to call headboard power pockets, where you have some, power outlet solutions and whatnot. Also, the lighting in the bedroom is dimmable. You notice they put this little stub wall over here, and that gives them the opportunity to run some wiring for like your thermostat. And I think it's kind of smart where they put the thermostat so that the camper will stay climate controlled according to your sleeping area at night instead of in the living area when you have a curtain drawn. That right there says to me, whoever designed that is someone who has obviously camped in an RV before. If you've never camped before, you don't even realize how much thought went into that. And again, different bedroom arrangement versus the full Model I here in the iX series. But I don't hate this. I'm not mad at it at all. The quadruple dresser drawers mean, generally speaking, you don't even need to lift the bed up to get to everything. Very sizable dresser space in this thing. That's why I don't mind two of the smaller drawers on each side of the bed going away. I think that there's plenty here. And those folding chairs that we looked at, they fit very nicely in here and still leave some leftover space. What else would you put under that? I'm kind of curious. As I back up a little bit here, this is that 18,000 BTU Furrion Chill Cube Air, but it's the newer centrally ducted variety. So this RV does have full central air. So if you pull that curtain closed, once again, you do have air ducting up there where your thermostat is located. Working our way around a little bit here. In case you're not curious, in case you're not aware, sorry. In case you're curious, if you're not aware, is what I meant to say. These are what I call the square flow windows with the integrated shades. This actually, you can reach back here and feel it, or close it, walk outside and look, does have a radiant foil backer on it. If the window has a bug screen like this one, it opens for airflow. So that's how I can kind of teach you how to fish, so you can sort of learn how to, you know, parse these things and understand them yourself a little bit here. Now, kind of standing beside the bed here, I guess not necessarily laying in bed because I still have the bed in the up position. Actually, let me off camera try to silently, not so silently, lower that. There we go. Nailed it. First try. Still very pet friendly, by the way. Like, you don't see a lot of floor heating vents. I think there's one up in the bedroom area, if I'm not mistaken, if you back the video up. But if I actually lay down here in bed, this is our, you know, bedtime view, which if you're just like sitting in bed, lounging, laying around, also not too bad. It makes this RV looks and feels huge. And I think a lot of it is because of that little roll open dinette arrangement that they have right there. But again, one of the key differences here that I think a lot of people will prefer on the less expensive iX series that we're in is for the ability for that TV to pivot. Now, obviously, that's not going to do you any good if you have that curtain pulled. But notice how it's not just a piece of fabric hanging up. It actually does have a back. So like, it totally blocks out light. Very handy for couples where like one person stays up later than the other one, or gets up earlier and doesn't want to disturb their partner. Like, that can be a really useful kind of feature right there. But you do have the ability, obviously, to, you know, catch your entertainment here. Now, this area is going to be very similar to the Model I 235, just in that, like, where your control center and everything is located. Real quick note, again, prototype note. If you look at this one, you see where that was originally where they were thinking of mounting the Bluetooth speaker bracket. That's not going to be there. It'll be under the table where I mentioned before. Now, on the right-hand side, that middle shelf is removable. So if you want to convert that over into a hanging closet, you can see the hanging rack on top. You can do that. If you look down below here, your converter, fuse box, power control center, right down by ground level by the door. It's such a good spot for that. But then you see this empty blank panel on the left. That's actually, behind that is your furnace. You can see that when we go outside. That's why you're like, wow, that's the world's tiniest shoe garage. It's not a shoe garage. You could maybe throw some flip-flops in there. It could be a flip-flop shop. But that is actually your air intake for your furnace. That's what you're looking at right there. And again, by default, you have that buckskin colored theater seat. But as you're seeing, the only option at all even available in this RV is the lighter colored cloth touch trifold sleeper sofa. So if you are wanting that guest capacity, or you just don't like the armrest in the middle theater seat, you have an option here. And you know, I think I just prefer the color and the cloth touch on this one, but I do prefer a theater seat, so that's a little tricky. By the way, the power outlets over there in that little seat box area, they are household and USB. There's both a Type A and a Type C built all together on that right here. Working our way back in the kitchen space, it is eerily similar to the Model I 235. Again, they only made changes where they had to. You know, building cabinetry is essentially very similar. They still included like the little handy, you know, magnet holdback kind of coat rack wall over here. Just smart little detail features like that. I would have bet, well, your paycheck, not mine, but I wasn't that certain. I would have sworn they were either going to not include the extra vent fans or scale down to the dollar store 4-inch fart fans. They did not. The kitchen and the bathroom both still have the nicer vent fans. They still went with the larger overlook window over here, the big stainless farm sink with the high-rise faucet. There's still dishwasher prep under the sink. The most basic Brinkley has dishwasher prep. One of the differences that you will see here is this is outfitted with thermofoil counters, whereas the Model I 235, that is outfitted with solid surface. This is also, I was surprised, but it kind of makes sense. This is a 3-way air fryer, convection, microwave. So it's a microwave and electric oven. And then I realized that makes sense because we don't have a propane oven. We have propane stovetop. We have propane cooking outside, but not a propane oven. I am willing to bet. I haven't looked. Yep, there's some power outlets over there. Hey, real quick, in case you're ever curious, I don't think they actually ended up doing it here. It's darn close. Sometimes when a manufacturer has a kitchen countertop and then part of a kitchen in a slide like that, you'll see the countertops are different height. That's for fire code reasons. They have to make sure that there's enough clearance from your fire cooking source to whatever is overhead. So maybe if you're ever looking at an RV, go, why did they do that? Are they stupid? No, they're following fire code safety, whether they want to or not. Also, I'm not going to conveniently gloss over the fact that this does have a bit of a toe stub kitchen slide, but it's also a more shallow slide system that will make travel access easier. They didn't skimp on the pantry. They didn't skimp on their storage. They didn't, roll back any of that. They still have that power outlet, that potential utility outlet back there. In previous videos, there was that Keurig machine that you actually see on the back kitchen counter staged up back there. And you know what? I never even thought of, you can tell I'm not a coffee drinker because I didn't think of the actual logistics. I just drink the nuclear green Mountain Dew to get my caffeine like a child. But I love the stuff. Anyway, that's my vice, essentially. Mountain Dew and video games, those are my addictions. But people said, yeah, I'd love to see somebody actually put water in that thing in that cabinet. I said, you know what? That's a good point. I'm not going to stage them in there anymore because I think it's stupid and misleading, and I don't want to do that for you. It's just like I've said so many times. You folks direct this channel. I just fulfill it. That's it. This is a 10 cubic foot fridge freezer, by the way. The Big Brother full Model I will actually have a 12 cubic foot fridge freezer. It's just slightly taller than this one. But again, they're a slightly taller ceiling. They have more, because like you look at this, you're like, it looks like it's the same size. It fills the same space. Remember, the ceiling's a little lower. So your optics, your perception are a little different here. And again, I'm not going to give you half the truth, you know what I mean? I am going to get this out of the way, though, so you can see that big residential-sized, again, 3-in-1 electric oven that we have down here. Working our way down, again, the Brinkley signature calling card features the slide-open trash solution with that little pocket there so you can keep extra waste basket bags or something. The slide-open kind of towel utility rod area, all of that stuff still here. Again, even inclusive of the dishwasher prep down there under that sink. Now you might notice how it looks like, again, a wasted blank panel. Just like the other one that we saw in the pantry was the furnace. That's the water heater. And we'll talk more about that when we go outside. My gosh, there's what? 2 giant drawers and then 3 reasonable size kitchen drawers in this thing. I really like this kitchen arrangement. I like where they put that big rear overlook, like over the sink window. I'm a sucker for those big windows. And I know it means technically I've lost a little overhead storage. I don't care. I love the aesthetic look of that. I love being able to stand at the sink and look around a little bit. And I think actually bringing the coffee maker over here also makes it a little bit easier to detect like where you have the power outlets and whatnot. And that's obviously a short cord appliance, but it works because it's not a super duper tall 12-foot ceiling fifth wheel or whatever. Everything works fine. This bathroom shocked me. I would have thought this was an area that they were going to scale back and save a lot of money. But again, they just kind of did a lot of what they always do. Now, remember with this RV being 6.5 foot tall, you can see how my head is in the skylight of this one. It's the first time that's ever been the case on a Brinkley. But again, it's their smallest, lightest, least expensive. And frankly, I'd probably still camp in this thing. It is, though, a full skylight. It's not just that, like, ceiling tray, because you do need the extra headroom. But they still maintain that extra light there, so if you're trying to bathe at night, you can see what you're doing. And it's the little stuff I look for as a person who RVs myself. Just the basket there for the loofahs and the body washes and all that stuff. I just don't think people realize how many RVs don't have basic necessities like that. Also, this is a one-piece molded luxury fifth wheel style shower. I've never seen something like that in an RV quite like this at this price point before. By the way, it's easy to miss. Notice that they do have a dedicated place right there for the butt napkin roller, as it were. This is a porcelain foot flush stool. It's not a giganto bathroom, but I fit on the sucker just fine. I didn't have any sort of problems in there. And sometimes it doesn't have to be much. Kind of the exact same things that we have going on over here. They include 3 of those in this area. The only thing I want to mention is just be smart about that one right there, because if it's sticking down, you could kind of, jab the door a little bit with it. But notice where the door handle would touch, they still put just a tiny little bumper right there. I bet you wouldn't have even noticed that. But that way, if, it doesn't bang up your wall. It's just, and like the little rubber bumpers down here and the soft close nature of this, it's just those nice little touches. And again, the bigger vent fan. You don't have to spend money to, that's the whole thing with Brinkley. Rather than, spending more money to upgrade stuff, what if it just came with the things from the factory? That's kind of their whole thing, They do more of that here. That is your tankless on-command water heater controller, by the way. And as long as we are opening stuff up, let me get down here, because I think, yep, you have a decent little spot for a wastebasket in there. Overall, I am pretty darn pleased with this. Now, again, one of the other cool things, like everything has an advantage and a drawback. The Model I 235 runs, I think, a rack and pinion slide, which is nice because it doesn't have that toe stub in the kitchen, but that also means that it is a little tighter when it comes to road mode. Case in point, I've obviously closed the slide, and I'm still just, I'm more easily able to navigate and walk through this one. Now, what's really cool with the way that they did that true pocket privacy door for the bathroom, first of all, it makes it so much easier to get into and out of here in road mode transit. Secondly, like if somebody has a cabinet door open or something, or if they're just standing at the sink, you're not going to hit them with the door if you open the bathroom door. It's a little trickier to build it the way that they did. I think it's a little smarter and a little more effective. Something I want to check here, I haven't quite eyeballed yet. Yeah, okay. I was wanting to make sure we still had plenty of space to be able to walk right around the bed. One little quick caution I want to offer you is while you are traveling, it would actually be really smart to pull that curtain kind of more toward the middle. It doesn't happen often, but a few times I have seen a curtain get bound up in those slide mechanisms, and that sucks. That's a really good way to have a very expensive repair that is very avoidable. So just be conscious of that. That being said, it is, again, super, super rare. But your ability to, like, I don't have to walk sideways to squeeze through this thing. It's just straight in, straight out, simple and easy. And if you like all the extra road mode and storage footage and all the stuff, the explanations of the different things, hit that little subscribe button. Catch us on the next one. In the meantime, we're going to hop outdoors and talk about towing this baby. Now, when it comes to towing, you are not going to need a big, giant monster machine for this. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of arguments here. When we look at something that's 27-foot tip to tail, tongue to back, 7,500 GVW, less than 600-pound hitch weight, I think most modern half tons are going to handle that very fine. Now, I do want to say real quick, always know what your vehicle can handle. And if you don't know how to read towing guides or just aren't sure, because not all half tons are created equally, or even bigger SUVs, like my brain always says Ford Expedition. There's other big SUVs beyond the Ford Expedition. Like that is a potential candidate here. But if you don't know what your vehicle can handle, get your VIN number, call your vehicle manufacturer's service center, your dealer's service center, and they can look all those specs up typically pretty quick and easy. Punch them into the calculator. Because I get it, man. Those tow package guides are very confusing sometimes. Now, when we get out here, again, there's a combination of things that we're looking at that are prototype features versus, like, this is the Model iX versus the Model I, the full proper Model I. So there's a few differences. Like this is not a drop frame front compartment, but again, all the same general equipment. Anything they could still fit in here. They still have like all the solar battery disconnects. Now, right now you're seeing just a satellite coax hookup. They're going to have like cable and satellite dual hookups. And that linoleum flooring that we're looking at down there, that will become that rubberized kind of coin flooring, like you see more in a more heavy duty like toy hauler application, you know? And again, people will ask me sometimes, when you say 27 foot, is that the box? No, I try to speak in terms of like worst case scenarios. That is tip to tail, tip of that coupler to the back of this sucker. 26 feet, 11 inches, 27. The awning space on this, I think, is very respectable. And I love that the door is in the middle of the awning. You just don't tend to get spritzed in the face. And if this proactively answers a question for you, maybe at least just drop me a little thumbs up on the video. I think we're going to have people asking questions like, ooh, can I get it with auto leveling or something like that? You cannot. The only option on this RV currently at the time of this filming is exclusively the swap from the theater seat to the sleeper sofa. If you want to move up to fancier features, that's where the full Model I or the Model Z Air come in. This is a new member of the family. It doesn't do everything, kind of like a Corolla doesn't do everything a Cadillac does, if that makes sense, you know. Gas grill quick connect over here. We do have ourselves that sewer hose handy helper tube. It's a synchromouse tool that'll help us later, goof. And obviously the belly mount spare. Belly mount spares are nice for keeping them out of the weather and everything. But man, you have a flat tire, your day already sucks. Now you got to crawl on your belly to get to the undermount spare. But it doesn't matter where you put a spare tire. Everything is a push and a pull, a give and a get. If you don't like it there's like, you could buy a receiver hitch spare tire mount. There's tongue mount things, you know. These new entry steps, a lot of brands are going to these, but they're composite steps. So they're much lighter weight. Some folks said, you know, these things about throw my rotator cuff every time I pick them up and put them down. And the little slats on them just feels like you can scrape your feet a little bit cleaner before going in your camper. You know, oh, hold on. One of the prototype features that we're looking at here, they initially made this with their safety rail handle system because that's what they just basically had on the shelves in their production. But that's not what this RV will have when it goes into production. It will have one of those more conventional folding handrails. I don't want you to be like, hey, they really hosed me on that one. Again, what we're looking at here is kind of the very first one. There's going to be a couple tweaks. They are still running though, like the nice hand-cooked tires and the Road Armor suspension package down here. The cool thing about that, it's a rubber shock dampener, and it dampens the blows both above and below the shackle. Essentially what that means is instead of just reducing how much bounce and vibration and violence you experience in transit, it prevents more of it and then controls that more easily. So it's actually a package I like. And frankly, I think anything better than a conventional leaf spring. Talk to people all the time, make a heck of a difference. I've got a regular viewer, Mr. Ken Bearden. He just got like a 34-foot opposing super slide travel trailer that had a conventional leaf spring system. He outfitted a more ride upfit on that, and he goes, oh my gosh, it's a night and day difference. I wish I'd have done this on day one, you know. Back here, we have ourselves that 300-pound rated accessory hitch. The cool thing about that, like I said, you could put a spare tire there if you wanted to move it. If you could put a bike rack there, cargo pod, heck, you could mount a generator on the back of this thing, depending on where and how you wanted to camp. Up top on that roof, they have all the same seal and gasket systems here that they have on their most expensive Model Z, Model G fifth wheels. You know, those six-figure fifth wheels. They're doing all the same MS polymer roof sealants. Essentially, I'll never say no. Any RV has a zero maintenance roof. That just feels way too scary to me. It's as low maintenance as I think this thing could be, you know. That's my impression. Now, down here, you might notice it's a single sewer outlet. Yay! But it's buried under the slide, and you're thinking, oh. But look a little closer. What you don't see are the gate valves. Those are located not directly below the slide. They're over here under the skirt line. And what that allows you, like if you have on-site sewer, when you get to your campsite, before you open your slide, hook your sewer hose up, and then your gate pole valves are accessible. And if you don't have on-site sewer, your slide's probably closed as you go to the dump station anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem. 60,000 BTU tankless on-demand water heater right next to your kitchen and your bathroom, and that provides you far faster, like more immediate service. And question I get all the time, what kind of slide system is on this? That is a, hold on, not exact slide. That's a cable slide system. My brain just went, nah, slim rack. There we go. That's the name of that one. Cool thing about that, that's the same slide system they use in their Model Z like fifth wheel bedrooms. And one of the cool things that Brinkley says is, yeah, the way we build our stuff, if you need to occupy that slide while it's closed, provided you don't pretend it's a trampoline, you're fine. So cool feature that they're putting on this one that can potentially enhance your travel functions even more. Down here, because it's not that big drop frame storage compartment, which means lighter weight, less cost, easier towing, smaller vehicles. They couldn't put in that hose reel, but they still have that docking center. And again, the construction has not changed. This still has the painted, automotive painted aluminum skin on the outside. You know, if you think of a giant fifth wheel toy hauler, people sometimes pay close to 10 grand for a paint package. This RV is painted by default. The least expensive RV Brinkley makes comes with a paint package. Literally, you know, think of it that way. They still have the Asdel below that skin. They still have the like all composite floor construction system, the walkable roofing. All the construction is the same. The brass fittings on your plumbing fixtures, no flex on pecs nonsense. Now, this is prepped for a 3,000 watt inverter. And most campers, if they have any inverter prep, it's only 2,000. So that's some heavier extra wiring that like you, depending on what you want to do. If you want to upfit this sucker to run an air conditioner off grid, off battery power, if you want to build a bigger battery bank for it, this is potentially more capable of doing stuff like that. It also has a Victron MPPT charge controller in that front passenger compartment, a 30 amp better grade of charge controller, a base 200 watts of solar up on the roof. But with the hardware they're using, if you wanted to grow, expand, and build on that, it's pretty much just about plug and play. What do you think, everybody? I'm very excited about this one. This is one of my personal favorite couples camping floor plans. I liked that Model I 235. I like this 23X in the iX series. You know, the nomenclature is going to trip a lot of people up, but this is, I think, awesome. There's a lot of people who wanted to be in the Brinkley family that kind of finally have an opportunity. Now, I'm going to leave you a bunch of links in the video description. I'm going to leave you one first and foremost to jump over to our website to get an idea of at least MSRP. We don't sell for MSRP. We just can't publish anything else. So please keep that little thing in mind. You contact our team, no hassle, we're gonna take care of you there. Also, if you're like, I like this, but I kind of like the bigger bed and the fancier features and the taller ceiling and all that stuff, that's the Model I 235. I'll leave you a link to that sucker, and then probably a bunch of other Brinkley links to check out as well, such as some factory tour stuff if you want to learn a little bit more of what's behind the skin of these things. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone. I kind of paused there, like I was gonna think of something, and then I didn't.